Good afternoon, and welcome to this month's Citizens NYC Live Rethink and Rebuild program. We are so glad to have you join us today here virtually. And we at Citizens Committee for New York City are celebrating and honoring 5 extraordinary women who are working to think, rethink, rebuild, and reimagine New York City. This month, we're wrapping up the New Yorkers for New York fundraising campaign. And this new innovative take on fundraising was born out of COVID, and it has featured 5 beautiful, outstanding women who are focusing on women's rights, entrepreneurship, immigrant heritage, and commitment to diversity. As a reminder, our goal is to raise $1.5 million this year. To donate, you can text the word New York to 833-660-2269. Or if you haven't already, you can check out our website at citizensnyc.org/New Yorkers. You can learn more about our 5 lovely honorees and donate to help New Yorkers get back on their feet. Well, today, we're taking you back to last month's New Yorker for New York showcase, just in case you missed the first showing. So stay tuned as the Citizens NYC staff comes together live for a watch party just to celebrate and relive last month's fabulous showcase. Again, we want to thank our grantee partners as well as the 5 extraordinary women that we were lucky to honor this year: Nicole Lee, Susan R. Cullman, Frida Polli, Sue, and Rhina Valentin. Enjoy the showcase.
It's fun, you're home. Hey, baby, when you get home, just a little bit. I'm about to give you all my love. All I'm asking, you return is money. Just give me my love when you get home. Yeah, baby, when you get home, just a little bit. Let's go.
We are here because Citizens Committee believes in bringing New Yorkers together to improve neighborhoods. And it's almost a heavy task right now because coming together as a community has never been more important. Together means recognizing all the individuals where they sit, but not having that be a problem, but having that be an asset.
Citizens has always been at the forefront of helping neighborhood residents achieve their goals. So yeah, this pandemic has really brought so many of us together. I think so many of us at times have been in isolation, but what we're doing now, folks, is that we're coming together as New Yorkers, we're coming together as communities to make sure post-COVID that we continue to work together, that we continue to make sure our communities are fed, that we continue to make sure that we have the resources to maintain the health and well-being of our community.
You really helped me get started with both the grants. That was my first grant I've ever received, from the beauty grant and the special needs grant. And you guys gave me that platform to get more people on board with me and the movement. And it's not done, so I'm very grateful for you guys.
You want to make sure that people see you and that they hear you and that they can get behind you, so we can all get behind each other as New York City.
Good evening and welcome. My name is Chris Ruggieri and I'm the chair of the board of directors of the Citizens Committee for New York City. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm delighted to welcome you as we honor 5 truly remarkable women, each one a unique New Yorker from New York. This year has taught us that we are all capable of being New Yorkers from New York, and together we are unstoppable. Tonight is a special night for Citizens Committee and for New York City, as it's New York City primary election day. We hope that you are all able to get to the polls today and have your voices heard. Later, you will hear from our honorees and see some of the great work our grantees have done. Know that without you, none of this work would be possible. Throughout tonight's program, you can choose to support our work by texting New York to 833-660-2269. I urge you to consider making a donation as generous as you can to help us rebuild the greatest city in the world in a particularly challenging year. Finally, I want to thank the board of directors for their continued support and their unflappable commitment to ensure that Citizens Committee is stronger today than it was a year ago. I will be forever grateful for your generosity and fortitude. And this just in, literally as we're speaking, I'm just being told that Steve and Beth Danhauser have just made a generous donation of $5,000. Wow. Steve and Beth, that's getting us started on the right foot tonight. Thank you very much. Now, join me as we kick off the first ever Citizens Committee virtual showcase event to celebrate our honorees. And thank you for your continued support. Have a wonderful evening.
We are your neighbors. We are the creatives. We are the trailblazers. We are the citizens. We are the future. We are the New Yorkers for New York. We have been and will be here. It's time once again to roll up your sleeves, New York City. We will get through this together, as we do, in a time like no other. Coming together with our neighbors to improve our communities has never been more important. New York City is forever. And with your help, Citizens Committee for New York City will continue to do what it does best, drive impactful and necessary change down to the block level. Let's reflect, reimagine, and rebuild together.
It is my honor to kick off the New Yorkers for New York celebration with Nicole Lee. She's a grantee partner. She's a mother. She's an entrepreneur, and she's a civic leader. her courage, her push makes New York City great. And we're so thankful for what she does for Queens and the broader community. Get to meet Nicole here.
I think I actually am in love with New York City. Everything I breathe is Queens. I think we are the most exquisite borough out here. I am 39 years old. I've built multiple business in New York City. I started in childcare because my son is autistic and I couldn't find proper childcare for him. With that, I've seen it's been a hard road with that. I've seen such a lack of resources in our neighborhoods, and I decided to build upon that and bring those resources to us. Then I started my group home. I'm like, okay, if my son isn't able to take care of himself, where do they go? And with that, there's still a lack. People call me every day. Nicole, can you help me? My son needs services. Oh, Nicole, can you help me get started for a business? Oh, can you help me? And I'm like pulling myself from left to right just to try to help these people. And I'm lacking resources. I'm losing sleep. I'm sleeping 4 hours a day trying to help somebody else. So I said, you know what? You have the know-how. You have some money. You have the knowledge. You have the heart. What are you lacking? Power. I felt that I was lacking power. And in order for me to get power, I decided to run for city council. If you have that confidence in yourself and if you build yourself up, regardless of where you come from, there's so many lessons I've learned from people younger than me, older than me. And then I even tell friends of mine, like, you're so smart and you're so capable, but you don't believe in yourself. So if you don't exude that, how am I gonna believe in you? How can you sell me? With that confidence had led me this far. We are like no other, like nobody else has the ambition and the drive like a New Yorker. I actually learned about CitizensNYC through a friend of mine. She started a little program, a mentoring program for little girls. And I was like, okay, well, I need some grants for my businesses. How do I start that? Once I tried and filled the application out, everybody seemed very helpful. I actually was awarded 2 grants in 1 year. And I was so excited. I'm like, oh, you guys helped me grow in such an amazing way. And I'm just happy to have you guys with me. With that unity together, we can make miracles happen. I believe that our communities need a renegade revolutionist like me. Be a New Yorker for New York and donate today.
Hi guys, my name is Nicole Lee. I am from Rockaway, Queens. I am one of the honorees. They call me the future. I have many titles. I call myself a serial entrepreneur, special needs advocate, community activist. I am just here representing for Queens, because Queens is where the Queens lay. First of all, I just want to give a big shout out to Citizens Community of New York City. I'm just grateful for you guys just giving me a button in my back to keep it forward. I'm so, even in these trying times right now, I have 3 people that's close to me who's suffering from COVID. One is in a hospital right now. The Black and Brown community is suffering in reference to all the murders that's been going on. It's been very overwhelming, especially for me and my family, just to see everything that's been going on thus far. I commend you guys for just bringing that awareness. It's very important. So thank you guys so much.
I love Nicole. I always have. I think she's perfection. Hey.
No, I do. She's so classy and elegant and driven. You know, she just keeps going. Yeah, I love her.
I am very proud to be the daughter-in-law of one of the great activists for women's rights in this country.
Congratulations, Grant Sue.
Hi, Susan.
We just wanted to express how proud we are of everything you do for New York City and women, and the causes you stand for, and the conviction that you show on such a regular basis. It's really an honor to...
It's an honor to know you, to love you, to be a part of a family with all of you. We are so proud. Lots of love.
We're so proud of you, starting with all your activism at the Call for Action, Republican Coalition for Choice, and Citizens Committee for New York.
And Susan, we know this is only the beginning. You still have a long road ahead, and I'm looking forward, as is Edgar, to seeing what you're going to do in many different fields going forward in the years to come. So much love.
Susan, my sister. What do you say? Susan is smart, loyal, and beautiful. She has been involved in many important projects and social issues, including the women's movement, and then with great involvement became one of the important leaders of Republicans for Choice.
Now it is the Citizens Committee of New York that has been lucky enough to capture her support and attention.
Susan loves family. She is quite a bit younger than I am, is very committed to family tradition of social support. And with all of this, Susan is a great mom and grandmom, and competed in riding, tennis, golf, and bridge.
Congratulations, Susan, on an honor so well deserved.
Good evening. I'm Tom Israel, and I'd just like to say a few brief words about one of our honorees and most quintessential New Yorker I know, and that's Susan Cullman. How do I know? She's passionate. And we grew up together in the same apartment building on 78th and Park Avenue. And we shared weekends together in North Stamford, Connecticut, in adjoining properties. And she's been intimately involved in Mount Sinai and making it a world-class institution. And she's been a board member here at Citizens Committee. And she's an activist, she's determined, and she's my best friend. Congratulations, Susan.
Susan, congratulations on this recognition. There's no one more caring and generous than you. I'm so honored to have you in my life.
Susan is the most kind, sincere citizen of New York, and she really deserves this honor. Thank you very much for taking the time to recognize her.
Mom, we are so proud and grateful for your leadership and commitment to women's issues in New York City and to us. We love you.
Thank you so much for all you do. We love you.
1975, when the Citizens Committee for New York City was founded, they advertised for 10,000 greedy, heartless New Yorkers to lend 5 years of their time to help save New York. Well, my stepmother, Susan Cullman, is neither greedy nor heartless, and she's been at this for a lot longer than 5 years. And thank goodness. And the city needs it now more than ever. After a year of lockdown, it's tough out there. So thank you, Citizens Committee for New York City, and thank you, Grand Sue, as my daughter calls you, for all of your courage, insight, and hard work. Keep it up. New York needs you.
She had so many family members. I love that.
She did, and that last one made me very nervous.
New York is pretty amazing in that sense. Whether people are coming for the arts or they're coming for business, or whatever the reason is that they're coming, they want to be a New Yorker. And I guess I'm fortunate that I am a New Yorker many generations over. The majority of my family comes from Germany, and they were German Jews who left for a better life, like most people do here. The Sephardic side of my family, I don't know other Sephardic Jews particularly, but I certainly know a lot of other German Jews. I do know what makes me really happy is spending time with my family, always have. I now have 4 grandchildren, and you know, for me, like most people, I'm sure, family is what gives me sustenance. So I became an activist when I met Ellen Strauss. I've always been interested in helping the plight of women. They bear enormous responsibilities that are quite different from the men because they bear children. And because they bear children, there's health issues involved with that are quite different than face men. And there are economic issues, and there are emotional issues, et cetera, many of which were never really paid attention to much. Somewhere back in my grandfather, great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather, they got together with other German Jews and helped put a hospital together, which is Mount Sinai Hospital. So there's been a Cullman on the board of Mount Sinai since it began. Our father started something called the Cullman Institute at Mount Sinai Hospital, which is based on trying to make sure that the patient experience is as good as it can be. I'm just very happy that I'm involved with senior management has decided to take a look at equity and health issues and have been seriously delving into it. And it's been another interesting road for us to go down. I feel very strongly that I owe society, and in particular New York, because that's where all of my life and my family's life took place. And you add to that women, which I happen to be particularly interested in, and or families. And that's, it makes me happy to be able to be involved. And one of the things that I love about citizens, they get at the very small issues. And I remember my mother telling me, when I meet the man I'm going to marry, or when I'm friends with somebody, or I'm going to live with somebody, it's the little things that are going to kill you. You're going to agree on the big things, but you have to live together on the little things. And that's what we're doing, in my opinion. We're helping those neighborhoods remain good neighbors to each other so they can thrive.
I think the word activist means to me responsibility. To me, activist means you're responsible for your social awareness, you're responsible for your social and political community and what you bring to that community.
So I'm Susan Cullman, and I've been a New Yorker for as long as I can remember, back generations ago. And I want to thank the Citizens Committee for introducing me to New York, because in spite of the fact that I've grown up in New York and all my connections and ties are to New York, until I got on the board of the Citizens Committee and started to walk around some of the other boroughs and other areas, I realized how much I really didn't know about New York. And listening to everybody's story, and I'm so honored to be with Rhina and Nicole and Sue and Frida, because we all have such different stories to offer, and we're all New Yorkers together.
Forget your troubles, come on, get happy. You better chase all your cares away. That's right, come on down to New York City and let us transport you to another world. New York forever.
New York forever. New York forever. Nueva York para siempre.
New York City feeds me with the inspiration and the enthusiasm needed for me to continue to create and to contribute to moving New York City's culture forward.
Instead of just voting for one candidate, voters can actually rank their top 5 choices.
In January of next year, we'll have a new mayor, comptroller, Manhattan Borough President, Manhattan DA, and a city council member replacing term-limited Corey Johnson.
What a storied history that the Citizens Committee has had. So it's really fantastic that you're stepping up again at this historic time when the city needs you so much.
Thank you, Rasan and Citizens Committee, for creating this group for this conversation.
And Citizens Committee has been since Oz Elliott, very much a part of my life, and also the work that you do with the Solid Waste Advisory Board, the way you partner, so you understand how to partner. Maybe you could just tell government how to partner.
But I think my Twitter account bio says,
lifelong Harlemite, Knicks fan, civil rights lawyer, former prosecutor.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for all the work all of you do.
We have an opportunity this year to really make an impact post-COVID, recognizing that COVID was a setback for us in New York City. But a setback is preparation for a comeback.
We have to get our businesses up and operating on how to access and move from a small business, a micro business, into a larger business.
My vision is that as this torch gets passed, that I have every confidence, conviction that you will be able to take the torch. You have a vision of the future, and that our future is going to be much better than the past, notwithstanding how glorious the current is.
I am delighted to be here to congratulate the Citizens Committee for New York City, an organization I have long admired and respected. And speaking of admired and respected, my dear friend, Sue, the Optimist Award recipient. There is no person who better personifies the potential of optimism and hope in a place called New York City than Sue. I've known her for 2 decades, and during that time, her commitment to this city, her commitment to civic engagement, to a passion for life here is unparalleled. I could not imagine a better recipient of this year's Optimist Award. Sue is a New York City treasure. It is my honor to wish her the very best as she accepts this award, and for me to just tell her personally how much she is admired and deeply, deeply her commitment to New York City appreciated. Congratulations, Sue.
If it's been a long day at work or something, I'm like, I am not tired. I don't even know what tired is. You know, like I am standing on the shoulders of my mom and dad who, you know, just fueled by truly by optimism that the Statue of Liberty, that Lady Liberty and the United States is going to provide them with a better life and opportunities. I grew up with my parents telling me this wonderful story about how my dad was little. There wasn't much that he had, but he had some dreams, like all of us, right, when we're little. And one of the things he dreamed about was one day, I'm going to see the Statue of Liberty. And he did. He made it over here to New York, made his life. I came somewhere along the way, and here we are. They first lived in Astoria in Queens, also another fabulous place in New York City. And they were looking for something with like maybe a little bit, tiny bit more space. And they were looking around, they found Staten Island and obviously the ferry, you know, like what more to love? One of the amazing things when I joined Time, my mom and dad shared with me that, we first met Time in the library in Korea when we were young children. And I love that they said, met Time. It's because it really was, they were meeting this amazing window into the rest of the world. And I get up every morning taking that so incredibly seriously, being, we are writing these stories. My parents, as little kids in Korea, halfway around the world, read the stories that Time put out in the world. My nephews will be reading these stories years from now when they look back at 2021 and are reading about the pandemic, reading about all the stories that happened. It is our deep responsibility to make sure that the voices who are bringing those stories to the world. Philanthropy has also been a really treasured part of my career. I've learned so much, and I think Philanthropy really broadened my perspective on what are the tools and resources and ways that we can come together and make change. I always love to see is someone who's going to listen and sort of like really be present with you and say, you know what, you are enough where you are. You are everything, and it doesn't matter that you may or may not know exactly what your next 1 to 2 to 17 steps might be. You're enough, and I'm here for you. And let's think about what it means for you to get up in the morning and be so proud of yourself and to create the value you want to see in the world, and possibly make some people around you better and make those connections, and let's do that.
So optimism is hope. I think it's being hopeful and being hopeful in your world, in your life, and it's possibilities for anything.
It's really fascinating to me that all of us are meeting in this way, in literally boxes, right? Boxes on a screen, where I feel like so much of, as we think about our own individual stories and the stories that we want to unleash in others, is busting out of those boxes that people put us in. But so every day I log on and I think about those themes, because actually our opportunity and our responsibility and the beauty that we can all shine into the world means like getting outside of these boxes, over here where you can't see my hands. And that is really what we can actually literally do every day. But what we can control is how we show up for each other, for ourselves every single day. And that is, as much as possible, shining love and light on ourselves, on our stories, on our communities, on everyone we come into contact with, as much as possible. And if enough of us believe in that and do that together and intentionally, then maybe we can, make some progress in the world.
At Ann Yoga, yoga fits in. And the benefits of the practice radiate throughout your mind, your body, and your entire life.
I'm so grateful to the Citizens Committee for making this grant possible for me. The funds have allowed me to adapt my practice to the guidelines of the CDC and Department of Health, so that I could reopen my office safely and provide patient treatments during this pandemic.
On behalf of the NAR and me, and on behalf of Davidson Kempner, we want to congratulate you on receiving this honor from the Citizens Committee for New York City. You are an amazing entrepreneur, and it is terrific that the work that you have done has impacted tens of thousands of lives. You also are an amazing mother to your family, and it is fantastic that you and Connor have chosen to center your lives and your careers in New York City when you can have an impact on so many people. Thank you for all that you do, and congratulations on receiving this honor tonight. We are thrilled for you.
I know what she does in her work can be very stressful at times, and she faces a lot of different diversities that I feel like you might not get with different careers. Since she's a CEO and a female and has 3 kids, and she was raising me by herself for 11 years, pretty much 11 years before she met Connor. So she had a lot of struggles, and she was going to college for business school with me, and I was there at her graduation. So with everything that she does in her work and starting a whole business, she's also caring for her family, which is something that should be seen more.
I do think I was an entrepreneur sort of from an early age. And actually I come from a lot, my grandfather was an entrepreneur, my dad was an entrepreneur. So yes, absolutely. I think that it runs in the family. So we'll see which of my 3 girls picks up on it. what attracted me to New York City initially is just it's so diverse. There are just so many different types of people from all walks of life, from all parts of the world, different, ethnicities. I don't know. It's just, I just feel so at home in diversity. When I first moved to New York, it was exhausting. I was just exhausted by the constant, chaos and energy and traffic and sounds and, all that good stuff. I think that New York has always been on the forefront of many things. And I think, women over time, obviously, both in this country and in other countries, many things have changed, since I was born, and largely in very, very positive ways for women. Women are able to start companies now. Women are able to, do all sorts of, be in positions of leadership, do all sorts of things that previously we weren't able to do. However, I still think there's a tremendous amount of ground that we need to cover, because I think that while those things are possible, they're not the norm, right? And women are still, very underrepresented in many ways. All of this progress that we had made over, the last decade, the last century, whatever, a lot of it, it has been jeopardized by the pandemic and the fact that, a lot of women have had to take on additional childcare roles because of what's happening with schools, because of, lots of things. I used to be an academic. I spent 10 years in academia at Harvard and MIT. And part of what I realized being a cognitive neuroscientist was that the human brain just has this inherent flaw called unconscious bias, right? And if you look at all the studies that have been done, unfortunately, we continue to not unwittingly, essentially discriminate against people that are not like us. Technology has to be part of the solution because, for better or worse, we live in a society that everything is technology, right? Everybody's on their phone, everybody's using digital this, digital that. And so if we cannot leave the area of technology and say, well, we'll deal with that later, we have to take that as a tool that at a bare minimum has to not perpetuate the problem. And in my mind, a tool that can actually help with the problem. And I mean, that's what we built. We built a system that basically is more fair than pretty much any other system that's out there, right? Including the human hiring system, which is very widespread. It's really small businesses that, are so critical to the community. I mean, we've seen that, across the board, whether it's like, mom and pop shops or, bodegas or, local newspapers or whatever it is, right? We need to support local businesses because they are, in my opinion, the fabric of the community. And I've always had a tremendous appreciation for hard work, for, not having anything, coming from that background, and really wanting to help people that were less fortunate than me, whatever that was, right? I mean, we all fall on hard times. We all have times that we need help. We all need to be picked up, right? And so if you're in a position to be able to help and to able to pick other people up, it's like your duty to do that. And that's who your grantees are as well, right? They're entrepreneurs as well. So that's why it's so important, I think, to kind of loop back and have it be a virtuous circle.
Entrepreneur is somebody who builds the lifestyle that they want, somebody who sees something, a plain canvas, and creates something out of nothing. Entrepreneurship is what America is built on today. We create jobs for people. We create lifestyles for people.
The thing I'm most excited about in terms of what we're doing at Pymetrics is there's a bill going through New York City. I'm going to give Bill a little shout out, that two Black councilwomen, so Lori Cumbo and Alika Samuels, are co-sponsoring, that would basically make New York City the first city to have transparency around what hiring algorithms are doing, and if they are biased or not. And we are helping the authors of the bill with some of the language, because these things can get pretty technical. But the bill has been the center of a lot of attention. We've had a New York Times op-ed come out about it, as well as some other stuff. But it's really pretty amazing in the sense that New York City would be the first city to really shine a light on how hiring technology is really a central cause of inequity right now in the country. And so we should all be extremely proud that New York City may be passing the first of its kind bill to mandate this type of reporting.
My name is Nick Lugo, and I am the president of the New York City Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And it is my pleasure to join the Citizens Committee for New York City as they celebrate one of our very own Puerto Rican Latinas, Rhina Valentin, who is one of our most vibrant cultural ambassadors that we have. As a creator, producer, and actor, she represents us with honor and integrity always. El Barrio is proud that our Reina is the first Latina and Afro-Latina receiving this prestigious recognition. Rhina, we thank you for putting our community first. You are loved. Congratulations on your well-deserved recognition. Thank you.
How much do I love this city? I live for the city. I fight for the city. I am this city. I like to say I'm from uptown, baby, and I throw my X up for BX. I have advocated both El Barrio and the Bronx. I have been working on BronxNet television for the past 15 years, serving as an essential on-air television personality, providing information for our local communities. El Barrio, when I was growing up, was primarily, Latino and Black. But now there's so much more. I mean, everybody that we've been capturing, like what in Spanish, what we would call a sancocho, it's a sancocho. And the beauty of sancocho is that it's different flavors. And I mean, what's better than that? Right? I mean, I don't know about you, but I love flavor. I identify as an artist because I do character acting and I do a lot of writing and I do theater. Well, when, theater was open, I'm also an art advocate and I am a strong art advocate. And it has been my absolute pleasure to serve our artists this past year throughout this pandemic in providing a platform. My goal, even within my company, our mission is to marry artists with businesses. But I like working with small businesses. I like serving the underdog because I identify as an underdog. My daughter, she's 11. Her name is Charm Vida. And I named her deliberately because I believe in the power of affirmation. And so Charm Vida means charm life. So in essence, what I did deliberately is I established a name that would be chanted to her for the rest of her life that would declare how her life was going to be. I teach my daughter to make sure that whatever decisions are made are a contribution to her dream. So that it isn't like, oh, I'm just going to go get a job to make money. It's you have a vision. So how is this going to contribute to it? The beauty of being born and raised in New York is that you get to experience all these cultures in your upbringing. And so for me, I really never looked at a person based on their culture or their race or anything. I was raised with the belief system of like, we just deal with each other and treat each other as we want to be treated.
Thank you all. Thank you to the Citizens Committee of New York City for honoring me this year as the creative. It's lovely to be recognized for my loqueria. I'm a native New Yorker. And I have lived in New York and left New York and come back on numerous occasions. But what I've always found is that, well, there's no place like New York. I'm a Afro-Boricua who embraces her Black, Indigenous, and European roots. However, I'm a New Yorker before that. I identify as being an underdog. I've been doing what I do for a very long time. I've been doing it my way. You know, I walk around singing that Frank Sinatra song because I forged through. And while people want to limit me because I'm, you know, this urban Latina Puerto Rican short woman who really runs her entire life, I run my entire life because I walk around with the understanding of that I am the creator, the writer, the director, and the star of my life. And my role in my journey is to serve with the intention of elevating humanity. And so I think that covers my story. So thank you, Citizens Committee of New York City, for recognizing that and for honoring me. Thank you.
Thank you for showing up for New York City tonight. You made it to the polls and you showed up for Citizens NYC. We are so grateful that you joined us, and I am honored to be the CEO at this critical time in our city's history. We've been through a lot. COVID-19, the fight for equal rights for all people, and our grantees have stepped up and answered the bell. It is this work that makes New York City better, and this work is made possible because of you. We are all New Yorkers. Please text New York to 833-660-2269. Thank you to our honorees for being New Yorkers for New York. To Nicole, the future, mother, grantee, entrepreneur, and civic leader. Thank you for your commitment to your community of Queens and broader New York City. Susan, the activist, board member, one of the founding families of Mount Sinai Hospital that's changing the landscape of healthcare, and advocate for women's rights. Sue, the optimist, fellow Christonian, chief people officer of Time, telling the stories that are so relevant to our world today and also show us the path to the future. Rhina, host, artist, creative, that's telling the stories of El Barrio and the Bronx and keeping us all informed. Frida, thank you for changing bias in the workplace with your artificial intelligence solutions and for being a great entrepreneur. Also like to thank Frida and Connor for their generous donation on the neighborhood level. Also, on the park level, would like to thank Barbara and Tom Israel and Kitty and Tom Kempner. And I'd like to thank all of the donors for your generous support that make all of our micro grants possible, because they all go a long way for improving New York City. Now, don't go anywhere. I want you to stay with us. We have a great after party that's being DJ'd by DJ Stormin Norman and MC'd by our creative honoree, Rhina Valentin. Have a great night, and thanks again for showing up in New York City.
Whether you have roots in New York City, or whether you come into New York City by choice, it's a place that's a beacon. It's a place where you challenge yourself. It's a place of so much culture that you're drawn to it.
New York will come back and be built a little bit like the phoenix. It'll rise from its ashes. And it'll give New York a certain chance to, I won't say start over, but to recreate itself as an even better place.
I love that. I say that a lot, and you sometimes get looks from people, but I have to believe that that's what's going to happen. That New York will become something else.
When Citizens was founded, New York City was mired in one of the worst financial crises in its history. And that now famous advertisement that our founder, Oz Elliott, placed in the New York Times produced over 10,000 caring neighbors. Everyone pitched in as city services were slashed, and that's the proud beginning of this organization.
Today, we're in the midst of crisis, and we need to step up. And we've seen it before, that when average, everyday New Yorkers come together, they can make amazing things happen. They can create places that have been left behind. They can bring them forward.
40 years ago, New York City was on the verge of bankruptcy. The New York Times, writing about that period not long ago, said that the difference between solvency and insolvency was paper thin. New York is very different today, arguably the most diverse and interesting city in the world. We don't claim credit for that transformation, but we do proudly claim credit for being there in 1975 when things were so difficult for the city.
New Yorkers are the toughest people in the world. So when I hear folks say that New York is dead, New York is over, cities persist, and New York is the greatest city in the world. So that is not the truth.
New York City is said to be a metropolis, forever chasing progress and perfection, but it is lately best at making do with the reality of considerably less.
All In for New York City says it all. We are going to do everything that we can to make sure that the greatest city in the world always wins and continues to win, and that everybody gets to celebrate in that victory.
Yeah.
That video always gets me. It's a great one. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone.
Thanks
It's
for joining.
Great to rewatch with all of you.
And remember, you can still donate. Just head to our website, citizensnyc.org/New Yorkers.
Yes. All right. Bye, everybody. We're going to take off.
Bye.